Hey, good morning, sixth graders. Today we're going to be using these Go Temp temperature probes. In class, each group should have two of them. Basically, they're composed of two parts: a sensor. This is going to be where you're going to be collecting the data, and then the USB port, the USB plug. With that said, we're going to be using our Chromebooks to collect the data. So these sensors can be, what's cool about them, they can be connected to any Chromebook or anything with a USB port. So the ports are right here. The USB ports are the rectangular shapes. This is not a USB port. You should have two of them on your Chromebook. Pause the video to make sure you can identify the two USB ports on your Chromebook. Please do not plug in your sensors yet. Once you found that, we're going to go to an app that's going to actually allow us to manipulate the data and play with it and collect it and start it, whatever. And it's called Graphical. You might have to search all apps, whatever. It's this Graphical app, and it should be on your Chromebook now. So once you find that, click it. I'm going to actually have a new experiment. This right here. I've been playing around with it, but it's going to say, then we go to sensor data collection. And this should pop up. Again, we haven't put in our temperature probes yet, but let's do one at a time. And let me say something really important. It doesn't matter which port you plug in first, but whatever one you use, you plug in first. Let's say I use this one to plug in first, or this one to plug in first. The first one you plug in is always going to be what we're going to call temperature 1. All right. So let's get back to this program, and it should start recording my device, should recognize my device. Oops, no sources detected. It should. Let's try it again real quick. Let's try a new experiment. Sensor data collection. Yeah, it should be working now. I got a green light. For some reason it was red. So with that said, here's the temperature of that one. Again, I'm only using one right now, and this is the air temperature of my room. The air temperature of my room is 24 degrees Celsius. Okay, we're going to put that aside, and this is going to be temperature 1 because it was the first one I plugged in. And just to let you guys see this, you're going to have another one. This one's sitting in lukewarm water, and I'm going to use this one in the other port. Plug it in, and watch what happens down here. Notice that temperature 1 changed to temperature 1, temperature 2 changed to temperature 2. Temperature 1's in the air, temperature 2's in the water. It's really important that you take note of that either on your lab sheet or in your journal or on your Chromebook notes or whatever, because these are going to be put in different places, and students mix this up all the time. So please label where temperature 1 is, what temperature 1 is, and what temperature 2 is. And it's always in the order you plug them in. Okay. Once you do that, we're going to go over here to this mode. So everyone find the mode down here. We're going to click that. This is really important. That time is going to be in seconds. Forget about rate. It's kind of confusing, but interval's not. We want it for this lab. We're going to collect data every 5 seconds. So that means 5 seconds, there's going to be a sample taken. So change the interval to 5. Start collection manually, yes. End collection. Now we want to go longer than 180 seconds. We want to go 480 seconds, which is 8 minutes. And then it's just going to stop. So then we click done. Once we got the experiment set up as directed in class, everything's ready to go. Everything's good. All the constants are there. We got our experiment ready to go. We're going to press collect. And then basically we can just leave this computer alone, let it do its thing. It's going to be recording data every 5 seconds. So check this out. Right now, we see that over here is the the lukewarm water, and right here is my house temperature. And it's recording data every 5 seconds. Now, I'm not going to wait 8 minutes. So let's say that 8 minutes is done and it stops. The experiment's done. It changes the graph a little bit. We're not going to use these graphs, but it's kind of cool to see. What we're going to actually use is we're going to download the data. We're going to change. CSV is a fancy word for spreadsheet. We're going to keep it in this decimal format. And this is the important part because we got to actually use our data. We got to collect our data. And we are going to save it in our Google Drive. I want if you're the person using the computer, using your Chromebook, you're going to save it in your Science 6 folder. Everyone's save it in your Science 6 folder. Okay. And then you're going to say open. Oops. Actually, we're going to do something real quickly. Let's go back to my drive. Sorry, my bad. We're going to save it as, we're going to change it. This is the 5th time I've done this. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to call it Insulator Lab 5 so I can identify it. Please title it Insulator Lab or whatever lab you're doing if this is a future experiment. Save. Okay. A couple things I want to show you here. You can view this. It's kind of cool to view the graph and table I forgot to mention so that you can actually see your table and make sure that it's recording data every 5 seconds. You also see the graph. So I like to do view, graph, and table. Regardless, it's going to be collecting your data. And then once you save it, let's go to our file. I'll go back here real quick. Oops, let's go back to this. And here we are. So what I want to do is I want to find my Science 6 folder. You guys are going to find it. I like to, for me, because mine's a little more confusing, I have it in recents, and there it is, Insulator 5. Notice I have Insulator 4, I have Insulator 3, blah, blah, blah. So Insulator 5 lab, we're going to click on that. So now it pops up in this format that we don't quite recognize. So we're going to open it as a Google Sheets. And now we're saving it into something we can manipulate. We're going to make graphs of this. And so you see this here. We see these 3 columns. Before we do anything with our data, we're going to share it. And it's working. It's really tough data. Working. Okay. Once we get there, share it. You're going to share it with your lab members, your teammates. And let's say I'm going to share it with Mr. Guzzi. I'm going to share it with Ms. Bradley. Let's say they're my lab partners. Now, just to avoid all sorts of conflicts of someone messing with someone's data and whatnot, everyone's going to have the can view. Basically, that means that they can view this, but they can make a copy of it and change it the way they want. So everyone starts off the same. We're going to send it to them. And then now this is your data. So if you're one of the teammates that aren't using it as your computer, you can actually make a copy. So once you get it, once it's shared in your folder, make a copy of it. Make sure it's in your Science 6 folder. And I do want to also say, share it with Mr. Steely. Please share it with Mr. Steely so that I can see it and help you out if there's any problem. So once you're here, you're going to do this real quickly. You're going to get rid of this data set 1 and just change it to time so it's not confusing. You're going to change this. For me, you're going to change this to wherever temperature 1 went. For me, it was air temp. And I'm going to put Celsius. And this one was water temp. Celsius. And then we are done today. Tomorrow, you're going to learn how to graph this data. So the goal of today was to collect the data using probes, save it on your Science 6 folder, save it to Mr. Steely, and to change these variables. And tomorrow, we're going to learn how to graph. And that is it. Thanks a lot, and have fun. Okay, I'm done. Oops.